Have you noticed your favorite American products missing from Canadian store shelves lately? Maybe it's that specific brand of peanut butter, a popular soda, or a snack you always reach for. Suddenly it's just not there. It's not just a late delivery or a temporary shortage, there's something much bigger happening behind the scenes, and it's affecting stores from coast to coast. Across Canada, shoppers are seeing empty spaces where familiar US foods and drinks used to be. The absence is impossible to ignore, and it's leaving many people wondering what's really going on. This isn't a minor hiccup in the supply chain, it's the result of a tense standoff between Canada and the United States over trade policies and tariffs. The two countries are locked in a disagreement that's now spilling over into our everyday lives. The Canadian government has announced that many US food and alcohol products won't be restocked until a new trade agreement is reached. This decision is making headlines and sparking debates about what's fair and what's necessary. Everyday items, snacks, drinks, condiments, have suddenly become bargaining chips in high-stakes negotiations. Products we once took for granted are now at the center of a political chess match. For consumers, it's confusing and frustrating. People are left searching for alternatives, sometimes paying more for less familiar brands, or simply going without. Why use groceries as leverage? Because in international trade, every product, no matter how small, can be part of a much bigger story. Food is personal, and when it disappears, people notice. Restaurants and small businesses that rely on these imports are scrambling for alternatives. Chefs are reworking menus, and the taste of your favorite dishes might change as they substitute ingredients or drop items altogether. By halting the flow of popular US goods, Canada is putting pressure on the US to agree to new terms. The border, once a busy channel for trade, is now a bottleneck for many products. This strategy affects millions, from American factory workers whose jobs depend on exports, to Canadian families who are just trying to do their weekly shopping. The empty shelf in your local store is a visible symptom of a much deeper diplomatic standoff. It's a reminder that international politics can hit close to home, sometimes in the most unexpected ways. And as the weeks go by, those empty spaces are only growing, leaving Canadians to wonder when or if their favorite products will return. So, what's a trade deal? You might hear about them in the news, but what do they really mean for you in your everyday life? At its core, a trade deal is like a contract between countries. It sets out the rules for how they buy and sell goods and services to each other across borders. These agreements are designed to make international trade smoother, more predictable, and often more profitable for everyone involved. Trade deals cover a lot of ground. They decide how much tax or tariff gets added to imported goods, what safety standards products must meet, and even how disputes are resolved if something goes wrong. The goal is to make trading easier, cheaper, and safer for both businesses and consumers. When a good trade deal is in place, you'll notice it in your daily life. More choices on store shelves, better quality products, and often lower prices. It means you can buy things from around the world without breaking the bank. But getting to that point isn't easy. Negotiators from each country spend months, sometimes even years, debating every detail, like how much tax to put on cheese, what safety rules beef must meet, or how to protect local farmers and workers. Without a deal, countries can slap on high taxes or strict limits, making foreign goods expensive and hard to find. This can lead to empty shelves or higher prices for everyday items. This approach is called protectionism, when a country tries to shield its own industries from outside competition by making it harder for foreign products to enter the market. If trade talks break down, the flow of goods slows, and prices can rise quickly. Businesses may struggle to get the supplies they need, and consumers feel the pinch at the checkout. Trade deals create stability for businesses, letting them plan for the future, hire more workers, and invest in new ideas. When companies know the rules, they can grow and innovate with confidence. But when those rules are up in the air, as they are now, uncertainty ripples through the economy. Companies hesitate to invest, jobs can be at risk, and markets can react unpredictably. That's why this dispute over groceries is about much more than what's in your cart. It's about the bigger picture, how countries work together, how economies grow, and how everyday people are affected by decisions made far from home. Trade deals are the invisible force behind what you find in Canadian grocery stores. When deals work, American oranges, California berries, and US snacks flow easily into Canada, often at lower prices. These agreements set common standards, so products cross borders quickly and cheaply. But when negotiations stall, the system grinds to a halt. Canada is now blocking certain US foods and drinks as leverage in talks. Distributors can't order, American producers lose a market, and stores scramble to fill empty shelves. The result? Higher prices, fewer choices, and a disrupted supply chain. For decades, open trade meant variety and affordability. Now, the drama shows how fragile that system really is. Your shopping cart is a reflection of international politics. When those politics get tense, you feel it at the checkout. The trade dispute is hitting home for shoppers searching for their favorite American brands. Craft beers from Colorado, Oregon, and California, gone. Unique US snack flavors, missing. Special edition cookies, missing. Breakfast cereals, missing. Even staples like coffee creamers, vanished. Frozen pizzas, vanished. Barbecue sauces, vanished. These aren't just products, they're part of routines and family traditions. Their absence forces people to try new brands, often with mixed results. It's a stark reminder of how much we rely on cross-border trade for everyday comforts. Grocery shopping has become a lesson in international politics. Why would a government keep products off shelves? It's all about strategy. When you walk into a store and see empty shelves, it's not always just about supply chain issues or bad luck. Sometimes, it's a deliberate move. A calculated decision made far from the aisles of your local supermarket. By blocking popular US goods, Canada puts pressure on American companies and in turn, the US government, to make concessions. These missing products aren't just groceries, they're bargaining chips in a much bigger game, one that plays out at the highest levels of international politics. The goal? Protect key Canadian industries like dairy and poultry from foreign competition. These sectors are vital to Canada's economy and national identity, supporting thousands of jobs and rural communities. By keeping out foreign products, the government shields local farmers and producers from being undercut. It's a calculated risk, betting that US exporters will push harder for a deal than Canadian shoppers will complain. The hope is that American businesses, feeling the pinch, will lobby their own government to come to the table and negotiate. Meanwhile, the government encourages buying local, hoping new loyalties to Canadian brands will stick. Promotions, campaigns, and incentives are rolled out to make homegrown products more appealing, turning a challenge into an opportunity for domestic producers. This could strengthen the domestic economy, even after the dispute ends. If shoppers develop a taste for local goods, those habits might last, giving Canadian businesses a long-term boost, and reducing reliance on imports. The wait is a show of strength. Canada won't sign a deal at any cost. Politicians want to prove they can stand firm, defending national interests even when the pressure mounts. International negotiations are about leverage, and groceries are now pieces on the board. Every product kept off the shelf is a message. Canada is willing to hold out for a better deal, using everyday items as tools in a global chess match. The longer the standoff, the more both sides feel the pressure. Time ticks by, and the stakes get higher, not just for governments but for businesses and families too. It's a high-stakes waiting game with your shopping list caught in the middle. As negotiations drag on, every trip to the store becomes a reminder that international strategy can hit close to home. Trade barriers are a way for governments to protect vital industries, like dairy, poultry, and wine in Canada. Tariffs make imported goods more expensive, encouraging shoppers to buy local. Quotas limit how much foreign product can enter, giving Canadian farmers a stable market. These protections support jobs in rural communities, but they're a major sticking point in trade talks. The US wants more access for its products. Canada wants to defend its farmers. The current ban on US foods is a temporary but powerful trade barrier. It's a defensive move, signaling that Canada's market access comes with conditions. The short-term inconvenience is meant to secure long-term economic sovereignty. Shoppers are frustrated and confused, sharing photos of empty shelves and searching for substitutes. Some blame the government, others support buying local. For small businesses, the impact is severe. Specialty stores and restaurants built on US imports are scrambling to adapt. Many are turning to Canadian products, giving local producers a boost. Grocery stores are promoting homegrown brands, and some consumers are discovering new favorites. But not all responses are positive. Cross-border shopping and gray market imports are on the rise. This means lost sales for Canadian retailers and potential risks from unofficial channels. The public is divided, torn between frustration and national pride. The situation is forcing everyone to rethink their habits, and for some, the changes may last long after the dispute ends. If Canada and the US reach a new trade deal, American products could return to shelves quickly, distributors would place orders, trucks would roll, and variety would be restored. Businesses relying on imports would breathe a sigh of relief, and shoppers would see familiar brands again. The new deal will likely include compromises, maybe more US dairy in Canada, or other subtle changes. Some Canadian consumers may stick with new local favorites discovered during the dispute. Canadian producers who gained ground might keep their spot on the shelves. So even with a deal, the marketplace could look a little different. The uncertainty would end, but the experience will leave a mark on shopping habits. The lesson trade drama can change what we buy, and what we value. If negotiations fail, empty shelves could become the new normal. American brands would remain unavailable, and choice for Canadian shoppers would shrink. Both countries might escalate, imposing new tariffs and barriers, a trade war. Prices on everything from groceries to electronics could rise, raising the cost of living. Businesses relying on US imports would face tough choices, adapt or close. Supply chains built over decades would unravel, hurting jobs on both sides of the border. The Canadian economy would shift with a stronger push to buy local out of necessity. Some industries might boom, but less competition could mean higher prices and less innovation. The deep integration between the two economies would unravel. Canadians would face a starker, more protectionist marketplace. The choice: restore a stable, open market, or accept a future with fewer options and more uncertainty.